I'm getting ready to write a new book, and I want to share with you all the work that I'm doing to prep myself to write the first draft in the next 30 days. I'll share with you all the prep work I'm doing, how I'm organizing my ideas, what tools I'm using, and what worksheets I'm using to flesh out these ideas. Hi, I'm Pooja. I'm a writer, an author, and a content creator. Earlier this year, I was getting ready to release my next book, but things didn't go as planned, and there's a little bit of a drama going on with that. But today, we're not getting into that. Today is all about how I'm prepping myself to start writing my next book. For this book, I'm using a different combination of tools than in the past. First is my Notion writing project template. It's a visual roadmap to show me where I am in the process, and it also has direct link to all the things that I need for this first draft. I also have my word tracker in here, and for this project, my word count goal is about 25,000 words, which is not even half of what I'm planning to actually aim for the final manuscript. And I'll share with you my reasoning behind having such a low bar. I'll have a link to my Plottr file as well as the Scrivener file that I'll be using. This time around, I'm ditching Word document and planning to use Scrivener to write my first draft. I'm a bit nervous to get into Scrivener. For a very long time, I haven't used Scrivener. Back in 2016, 2017, I used to do all my writing in Scrivener, but it's been a long time since I haven't opened my Scrivener, so I'll have to do a little bit of refreshing to get into it. So these are the tools I'm using to do the prep work and get ready for the actual writing part of it. I want reminders and reference files handy while I'm writing. The idea is to just open my Notion, and from there I can directly access all the files I need, saving me a lot of time and helping me not get distracted. I want to get an idea about my story, the characters, and the story's world. So I'm going to start working with these worksheets. This is a workbook I created a while back to help me get started, just to put down this initial story idea so that I can work further fleshing out the more complex part of the stories. And while I was creating this workbook, I wanted to give myself a little head start with some examples. I've used examples from Hindi movies like Parinita, Dil Dhadakne Do, and Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. And it's a good place to start. So in case you want to check it out, I'll have the link to this in the description of my video. The next thing I'm going to do is go through Savannah Gilbo's workshop. I have it bookmarked, and as I'm going through the workshop, I'm going to fill out these worksheets that go along with that workshop. This is a quick and easy way to have guided way to get your story started and have enough material so that you can then start working on the outline. It's been a few days. I finished working on the initial things about my story. So I went through the workshop, Savannah Gilbo's workshop, and filled out the worksheets from her workshop. And I have the initial story figured out, the basics of the story. And now I want to spend some time working on the characters. This workshop has been really helpful in getting started with the story and digging in deep with the initial theme of the story and those kind of things. So if you're interested, I'll have the link to her workshop in the description of this video so you can check it out. But right now I'm going to start working on the characters, character motivation, the story motivation, inner conflict, those kind of things for all the main characters, including the antagonist. I've been working on my characters for the past 2 days, and I have the basics figured out. So for all my main characters, I have the motivation, their wounds and fears, and how their character arc is going to progress. So how they start and how they will end up. So all that, I have done a few worksheets. So I like to use this worksheet from One Stop for Writers, and I fill this out. I don't do this for all the characters. I just do it for the protagonists and the antagonists. So I have this filled out for my characters. And also I worked on the tense and the POV that I want to use to write this book. What I decided was to write this novel in third person limited POV, and the tense that I'm planning to use is past tense. And I wanted to share a little bit about why I made this decision. Current trend is to write the books in first person in present tense. There's a reasoning behind it. I get that, but I feel my story will benefit if I use third person limited. Although I would like to use third person omnious, but I think third person limited will be a better choice. We'll see. I don't want to rewrite the book with a different POV, so I'm being very, very cautious. And so I had a few reasoning behind it, and I wanted to share why I'm making this, and also reassure myself that I've made the right decision. Here are the questions I asked myself when choosing a POV for my novel. Whose perspective best serves the story? What narrative distance do you want to maintain? How many viewpoints do you need? Does the chosen POV enhance tension and suspense? What is the intended reader experience? Is the chosen POV suitable for the genre and the style of your novel? How does the POV impact character development? So the POV that I'm going with is third person limited, and why I chose to do this is so that I can have a better connection with the characters and my readers, and also this will help me. So how will that happen, right? How do I get my readers to be better connected with the characters? And having third person limited POV will help me give the readers, get into the heads of the characters basically, as well. At the same time, I can hold certain information from the readers so that I can build the story. Here are the questions I asked myself when choosing the tense for my novel: narrative voice, character perspective, temporal dynamics, reader engagement, genre and tone, author comfort and skill, reader expectations, editing, and consistency. And why I'm using past tense is because I find it more easy to write in past tense, and I understand why most literary agents want their their authors to use first person present tense, but it's just my strength and I want to play with my strengths, and I hope I'll not regret this choice. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, there's one more thing I wanted to share with you, and that is this characters at a glance worksheet that One Stop for Writers has. So at one side you have all your characters, you can list out all the characters, and on the other side you have all the basic elements of your story. The good thing about this worksheet is that you get access to the PDF version, but also to the Word document version. So if you want to make changes to this table, you can do that. This is just the initial worksheet that I printed out, but the one that I filled out for my characters, I have made some changes over here because I don't need to figure out all this for all the characters. So I made a few changes, but even if you don't use this platform, you can always do the same thing in Excel, or you can make a table in Word document and do something like this. But I don't want to do everything from scratch, so I use this worksheet from their website. I'll have that link for you in case you want to give it a try. Last night I finished outlining the book. I used Save the Cat Writes a Novel beat sheet method to plot the story. So far, I feel confident. I'm getting a hang of writing faster. This will be the second book I'm using her fast drafting method. I've been using novel fast drafting course to guide me. Today, I want to try and get as much as possible all the writing stuff that I've done so far. So most of these things will go in the notes part of Plottr. So I want to transfer everything in Plottr, and most of what I've worked on will go in the notes section. The characters will go in the character section, but I want to get the plot itself. So all the beats, I want to plot that, and that helps me visually see everything. And if there is anything I want to tweak, I can do that as well. But I feel confident about the outline as of now. Let's see if I make any changes once I start transferring everything, but that's what I'm going to do right now. The last few days, I've been working in Plottr, transferring all my notes and character development and all those things into my Plottr. And I finally feel comfortable enough to stop tweaking with things and move everything over in Scrivener. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you how I've set up the story. I'll try not to show you everything because, of course, I don't want to reveal everything. So I'll try and cover the things that I don't want to share and still try to make sense of what I'm showing to you. So I'll share my screen and share with you what I've done in Plottr so far. Did I mention about my project? I don't think so, or maybe this is just a repetition, but I'm working on a romantic suspense novel. It's my second attempt at writing in this genre. This is the outline in Plottr. I have the main plot in blue. There is a key element in this book that I'm calling the object. So that is in yellow. The suspense element is in green. The romance element is in red. And to make sure that I'm focusing on the symbolism and motif in all my chapters that tie into the object and the characters' wounds and fear, I have that in orange. Up here, I have the timeline, outline, notes, characters, places, and tags. I'll come back to the outline, but just to show you the notes section, all the writing that I did by hand in the worksheets, I've transferred everything in the notes section here. There are a few things that I've worked further on, but in my Plottr file, for example, symbolism and motif, I've worked on how I'm going to integrate it. So one of the motif in my book is shadows and lights, and I've brainstormed a few things how I'm going to show these in the different scenes. For characters, I transferred all my notes from my worksheets into Plottr, filled out a few more things about my characters, also used AI to generate some images for my protagonists, just for the fun of it. For places, I did the same thing, transferred my notes and tagged a few places that I would like to visit if possible. Coming to the outline, I have some bullet points for each chapter, but I've also gone through each of my chapters and noted down what is going to be the scene goal, character arc that I'm focusing on, plot points, conflict, choices and consequences, setting details, theme and motif, dialogue highlights. I have few dialogues that I've already played around with, so I want to make sure I include those in the right chapters, or if there is anything specific I want to focus on when I'm writing the dialogues, I've noted those down. Foreshadowing, backshadowing, emotional tone and tension. These are just some points that I've given myself so that when I start fast drafting, it'll guide me through writing the scenes and the chapters faster. Now that everything is set in Plottr, I'm going to export this in as a Scrivener file and then start setting up my Scrivener for the actual writing part of it. But before I start the actual writing part, I want to make sure that I have everything set up in Scrivener the way I want. The problem with these apps is that you can keep tinkering with them because there's just so much these apps can do and you can use them in so many different ways. So I have tried to just have a couple of things that I know that I definitely need. I'm going to limit myself to that and not get into the trap of trying to figure everything out about Scrivener because that can be a black hole. I finally have the Scrivener all set up. I don't know why I was avoiding using Scrivener for so long. If you don't know, I used to do all my writing in Scrivener for the longest of time. I did my blogs, my newsletters, video scripts, everything in Scrivener. And then I don't remember what happened. It was around 2017, 2018 when I stopped using Scrivener and I was doing all my writing in Word document or Google document. But when I was setting up my project in Scrivener, it started coming back to me how to use it, where things were, how to customize it. So turns out I didn't need to be so scared of it. I have an older version of Scrivener and there has been many updates after that. And for one of the updates, it's a paid update and I'm undecided whether I want to pay for that update or upgrade or not. Although it's a heavily discounted price, but I'm still not sure. So what I want to do with this first draft is write it in Scrivener, see how I feel about it. Do I miss any of the new features of Scrivener? And then make up my mind whether I want to invest money in getting the upgrade. Now the Scrivener is all ready for drafting starting May 1st. Initially, I thought I'll share with you how I've set up my Scrivener, but on second thought, I feel that's too much as it is. The video is getting way too long. But if you want to see how I set up my Scrivener, let me know in the comments below and maybe I can make another video with more details about how I set up my Scrivener as well as Plottr. But I wanted to share with you a few things that I found helpful, few tips and strategies that have made prepping for my writing project this time around. And the first one is revision notes. Whatever your method for taking your revision notes is, have that ready before you start working on the first draft itself, so that while drafting, you're not wasting so much time thinking about where you want to keep all your notes or keeping your notes in various places and then not having them handy when you are actually sitting for revisions and such. So for me, I am going to be using Notion to take all my revision notes, and I'll be using my Notion writing project itself so that I have my revision notes there itself. I also like to take my revision notes in in the comment section of Word document when I'm using Word document. So with Scrivener, I have the Scrivener notes section. The view that I have of my Scrivener setup is that I'll have the notes section right there so I can put my notes against each chapter. And once I'm done, I'll just pull those into Notion. The second tip is word count goal. I really struggle with finishing my first drafts. And one of the things that I realized is that having big word count goals sort of intimidates me. And this time around, I'm keeping my word count goal very low. It's about 25,000 words that I'm aiming for. But with the first draft, I don't want to put that pressure on myself of having to hit the word count goal. I just want to have the story from start to end in front of me so that then I can go in and fill in all the things and flesh things out and those kind of things. I'm okay with having a bare bone first draft. I'm okay to work with that rather than working with a blank page, or what has happened in the past is having to write the first draft, and when I hit a point where I'm stuck, I start writing all over again, and I have so many drafts where I've done this. So this time around, I'm planning to set a low word count goal. The next one is blocking time out to do the actual writing. And I've blocked out every day 2 hours. To do that focused writing, I'm going to use the Pomodoro technique. So 4 Pomodoro, very focused. And hopefully I'll hit my daily word count goals with that. And the last tip or strategy is to create some ritual around your writing so that it preps you to get into the flow. For me, what I found out was these rituals does nothing more than mentally get me prepared that now I'm going to write. So these are the things I'm doing to get me to be in that mindset. When I was working on Gantt chart, loves Gantt chart, I used this candle and I burnt it every time I was fast drafting. It's over now. The minute I would light this candle, it sort of set my brain at ease, and I knew that I was working on this project. For this new project, I've picked up another candle, which I'll start lighting once I start drafting it. It smells awesome, and I'm looking forward to lighting it, including that practice of preparing my desk and having this candle going when I start drafting. I have a question for you. How do you do all the prep work for your writing projects? Do you use any apps? Do you use Notion or Plottr or Scrivener? What are your tools for writing? Let me know in the comments section. Do you have any specific rituals that you follow that really help you with your writing? I'm excited to start working on this next draft. It's always exciting when you're starting a new story and getting to know your characters and everything. But writing the first draft has always been the most difficult part for me, especially to write from start to end. And that's why I have these little tips and tricks and strategies for myself to help me finish the first draft. Do you have any tips that have helped you finish writing your first draft? I'd love to know. I'd love to try it out and see if it works for me. So let me know in the comment section. Thank you for coming along with me as I did all the pre-work for my writing project. Thank you for watching this vlog. If you'd like to support me and my channel, consider joining the membership. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.